Hey guys, welcome to the ninth podcast of the Blossom House. Today we're going to be discussing more in depth about mental health, mental disabilities, and mental disorders, and how it's being treated in society as a whole. So let's start more personal. So, what were your guys' experiences with mental health like these past few years, especially with COVID?
Do I have to go? Okay. I guess. Okay, I can start off. This is a hard discussion because I want to be positive and say I'm doing great, but I'm not doing that great. I'm doing better than I was doing last year. Last year was really hard on me. Not even, I don't think COVID played the biggest role. It was just a lot of academic stress. And then, like, my sudden existential crisis of what am I going to do with my life? I don't even want to get married. Like, I don't even know all these thoughts. And I was like, what do I want to do with my life? So I was pretty hit hard by that. And now it's a bit different. Now I'm just kind of not really feeling much. Like I don't have much motivation on my studies, which isn't the best thing. But I'm still dealing with it. I can't. I'm very hesitant to go talk to people about it, especially like therapists and stuff. I'm just like, oh, I don't think my problems are that big of a deal. Like, why would I spend money on a therapist? Even though I probably should. But yeah, for a lot of people, it's just, I think it might be a similar thought process. Like, I don't really need help. And that kind of dismissive behavior just kind of makes your mental health issues escalate until eventually it bursts. Someone make this more positive.
In terms of the therapist thing, I'm like pretty sure we have a school counselor for free, but
Yeah,
I've never been to her either.
exactly.
So I
Because I'm
can't
like, I don't know what
talk
to
about
say.
like
Like,
yeah.
what do you say? Do you start the conversation? Does the counselor start the conversation? Like, maybe I should just go and see how it works because she's
I am
really
like so
nice.
convinced that you just walk up to her and be like, I have issues,
Please
deal
help
with
me.
them.
Except, please.
Yeah, like
I'm not
but
sure.
yeah, I've never been to her. I don't plan on starting now, considering you only have
We
like
have three
what, two
months.
months of school.
I was like,
So it's
oh,
like
what's it gonna do
two
for me
months left
now?
in the school year. I'm gonna dump all my problems on you and hope that you know how to fix them. So
Okay.
that's not fun. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Dude.
In
Okay.
terms of in terms of like mental health in the past year, I know like a lot of people last year, when we were dealing with COVID learning, was everyone was just sad, and I don't even know if that was correlated with COVID because I don't think a big majority of people were just constantly thinking about, oh my gosh, am I gonna get sick? Is my family gonna get sick? Is someone gonna die? Like the most of us weren't really thinking about that, but somehow all of us were just demotivated, stressed, and like kind of sad all at once. So it was kind of weird to see. Um, and I sort of understand what you mean about like thinking that your issues aren't really enough to go to talk to someone because like whenever, how do you know what the line is where like you have enough issues that you need to go talk to someone about it, you know? Like I would assume it's if the issue is something that like you're thinking about it constantly or repeatedly, like it comes up every day and you're like, man, I'm thinking about this and it's causing me like negative impacts, right? And so I would say at that point is when you go talk to someone. But the difference is whether you're going to seek like professional help or if you just need to go like talk to a friend or talk to an adult, um, to sort of sort out what you're feeling.
Yeah, I don't know what it is for me either. Like, uh, I don't know if it's like a constant thing or if it's just like certain times I'm like, oh, I'm so annoyed, and then I get like really sad and stuff. And then I just don't talk. Like I don't know. It's hard to talk to my parents because a lot of the times I feel like, oh, they're not gonna understand because in our household we don't really talk about mental health all that much, and when we do, I'm always kind of like it. I'm just so convinced that they won't understand, even though I haven't really tried to honestly talk about it with them because it's really hard to say what I'm going through because I don't even know what I'm going through. So how do you verbalize that? And a lot of the times my parents will ask me like, why are you so sad? And I'm trying to say I don't really have a reason, I'm just really sad. How do you express that? Because like for them it's like if you're sad you have to have a reason. I'm like I'm not sure I do, right? So I don't know what to say.
Yeah, there's sort of
Whatever you going.
there's this sort of generational gap that we're seeing, like, because we don't have the same experiences as our parents, and so um, we don't exactly know how to deal with each other in terms of what we're feeling, because the stress that we have in school is not the same stress that they had in school. Um, and the stress that we have when, like, in terms of other people is not the same stress that they had. So, like, to a certain extent, there's like this gap where you feel like they can't really understand your experiences. Um, but yeah, like you said, you also don't really know, and it really there's also like I feel at least that there's some sort, like, at least with immigrant families, like there's a cultural difference as well, and so that also adds on to that gap.
Yeah, with immigrant families I think there's that idea like showing your emotions especially is kind of a sign of weakness. Like I know my mom says it a lot. I don't, and I usually don't even correct her. I just kind of go with it like yeah sure. But it's hard because then you're constantly like bundling up your emotions until eventually just becomes too much. I For them I think they grew up with not that much mental health support, so they don't know how to deal with it either. So they're in a kind of similar spot. We don't know how to talk to them and they don't know how to deal with us in a way. It's also hard too because like our parents I'm sure go through mental health struggles and we don't know how to help them either. So it's kind of an awkward place.
Mhm. And that brings up the whole idea of how much stigma there is surrounding mental health in society, because it's hard to even talk about it, right? And I think it's getting better, definitely better than it was before. Um, but it's still hard to bring up topics like that and to even like tell people that you're struggling with something. Um, because like I think for a lot of people to say that they're struggling with mental health is synonymous with them being like there's something wrong with me, when there really isn't. That's not the same thing, right? Because everyone's dealing with different variations of mental health issues, and so it's just going to be easier on everyone if it's able to be talked about openly.
On that note, what are some different things that shape mental health? We already talked about family. What else can affect mental health? Pretty much anything, honestly, from
Yeah,
school to your
Um,
environment. Um,
your
yeah.
relationships, no
Mhm.
matter who. Basically anything that has an impact on what you do or what you think can have an impact on your mental health. So it's like hard to balance all that.
Mhm.
Especially like it's really important that um, we're sort of educated on how we can possibly manage those things for ourselves or reach out for help when we need it. Because there's a lot of resources for mental health, but like you don't really like hear about it or like really access it all that often. So, yeah.
On another note, this is a bit different, but for children as well, because they're so impressionable at that young age. Oh, by the way, I'm not the biggest fan of children, but I'm still gonna say this. I think as parents and teachers, you should be really careful about what, mm, just how you treat your children. Like treat them well, obviously, because what you do, what you face as a child, will really impact you going in as an adult. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of children, I think I should say that. So.
Okay. I don't think anyone really needed to know, but
hate children. Okay, whatever. Anyway,
Okay.
it's gonna become a children hate podcast. Whatever.
A
Okay, keep
podcast about
going.
children where Shrey is just like, I hate children for 40 minutes straight.
I'm still kind of defending them. Like,
But yeah, that's a good point. I think there's like things that I've heard about where like obviously the environment that a child grows up in is going to affect them, right? Like you want a relatively stable like childhood, not a lot like if the families for example always like yelling at each other and not in a like jolly way but in a like malicious way, then that's going to affect someone, right? And even if you're not like outright treating your child like badly, if you're showing like those behaviors around them, then that's also going to affect them, right?
That's true. A lot of times I think people think that children are going to be too young to understand what's actually happening. And they kind of like use that as an excuse to kind of, I don't know, get away with treating them not as great. So I want to say that like that's not really true. If you're a child, yeah, you're immature, like you don't have the best grasp of what the world's like, but you're still going to like understand people's basic intentions and how they treat you, right? Because like I'm not sure if this is oversharing or not, but one of my most vivid childhood memories was my mom threatening to divorce my dad and leaving the house in the middle of the day, and she was like, I'm gonna find a new house. So I was basically like crying near the mailbox outside. It was like, oh, my mom just left. That is so sad. But
oh
yeah,
no.
so like I was pretty young then, but I still kind of understood what was going on. And like, yeah,
Trauma.
Oh God, who said that so cheerfully? Okay. On a different note, there's a lot of cases when like child abuse can be really serious. In that case, if you see signs, then I think personally think that it's your responsibility to intervene. Like in classroom settings, if a teacher notices something is off, I think that they should intervene because they could be saving a child's life. I don't know what you guys think.
And it's also
Like
difficult
it's
sometimes
hard
though because
because family situations.
like
Maybe
do you,
you're overseeing something that's not really there. Like
yeah, there's also that, but also if they really are in a bad situation, you don't know if like
you're making it worse.
yeah, if you're making it
Yeah.
worse. Like what's the right way to go about that?
Maybe you're putting
I
them in
don't know.
more danger in that case. I don't know either. I'm sure there's resources, like, but definitely I don't think you should leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow find a way to get them out. Hmm.
I am never becoming a teacher, dude.
Yeah,
Too
no.
hard.
way too hard.
Not a parent either. No thanks. Okay.
Shreya's hate children
Agenda
podcast
years
is still
ago.
going.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Speaking of children, wait, no, we kind of talked about this already, but guidance counselors in school and also therapists. When do you think is a good time to see a therapist? Are there any signs for yourself that you should
Shreya, maybe you
notice?
should go see a therapist.
Thanks. I already knew.
This is your note. Perhaps you need a little help.
I already knew. Thank you so much for telling me
You're
what I knew.
welcome.
Okay.
At the very least, you're a school counselor, you know, because free, no pay.
Yeah, it's free. So
But also, I don't even know like what are you supposed to go and talk to them about?
yeah, how do you
Like
start the conversation? Like, do
I
they
have
start
no
it? I
idea.
have no idea.
I mean, they can't just like find you in the hallway and be like, "Come to my office. I need to talk to you." That's
That
like
did
not a
happen to
very good
me.
experience for anyone.
oh, that's so scary.
Oh my god.
I would think I was in trouble.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah,
Like when the school
that's scary.
counselor comes up to me, he's like, "We need
Like,
to talk."
I was
Then I
like,
think
did
there's
I
an
bully
issue.
someone? OMG.
Did I bully
Like,
someone?
that would be my
I was
first thought.
not
I was like, that's
intentionally
probably right.
mean, please.
Oh my god. I am definitely not an advocate of bullying. That sounded so sarcastic.
Said in sarcasm.
Okay.
Bullying is bad, guys. Don't do
Yeah.
it.
Oh my god, speaking of bullying, wait, we can bring this into mental health. Wasn't
Yeah,
even
do you
bullied
think
as a
bullying
child.
affects our mental health?
Yeah, I think
I
we should talk about
I
it.
think it might. Really?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I feel
I've
like,
had someone tell me that like
oh no.
them being bullied as a child really
Wasn't
like
that
made
me?
them lose their ego. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, fair. She was straight up like, thank God I was bullied as a child because I was a menace. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I wish I was bullied more in junior high because some of the things I did were pretty cringe.
Oh my god.
I was bullied enough as an elementary kid. I didn't need
Do
any
not.
more. Thank you.
I was not only a
Shreya was
bully,
the bully.
I was a bully, yeah. I'd like to say I was a bully, but I was also bullied. So there you go. It was both.
The cycle of
Like a mutual
hatred
cycle.
continues.
I don't know. I don't even know. Was it like even intense bullying? Like a lot of the shows I see, they're like so intense. I'm like, this was never the
Oh my
kind of
god.
bullying. It was like our bullying was low level shenanigans. Like
I
we
have never once seen that happen in real life. I'm sure it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But like I've never once seen like someone straight up like I don't know knock someone's books out of their hands
I was like,
because
what is
literally
this?
everyone else would just be like, "What is wrong with you?"
Like,
Like
why would you
what?
not go tell a teacher? Like,
Like if
oh,
someone was getting beat up,
like
literally no one would just be there like,
they would just be like,
"Oh
fight,
god,
fight. I was like, what are you
guys,
doing?
avoid eye contact. Just ignore what's happening." Like no, no one's gonna do that.
Like I would just go into the fight because I'm like, yes, finally my time has come. Yeah.
You're right, you were a menace.
Thank you. I still am. Great.
Yes, but ultimately, bullying is bad for
We
your
really,
mental health.
yeah.
Probably.
Probably. Oh
It
my.
was it was bad for my mental health when I was a kid.
Yeah, I
It
was
made
bad
me
for me
very
too.
insecure, and that is not
As a
good.
bully, I was
I am
also
still
insecure.
insecure.
Yeah, me too. So it goes both ways. The
Bro,
bully gets it
bullies
worse.
only bully people because they're
They are
insecure.
insecure.
That's literally
Actually,
Yeah, that's
I
like
think
the
for
first thing
me,
you learn in
wait,
elementary. If you're a bully, you're insecure and you're stupid.
no, for me, not only was I insecure, I was lonely. So I was like, let me bully people so they pay attention to me. So, so there you
Shreya.
go. Like, honey, you could just go
Shreya
up
just
to them
not
and
knowing how to
ask for
make
friends.
friends goes be mean to them
I was like,
instead.
why are they running away from me? I thought this would make them like me more.
I thought we were having fun, guys.
Not even lying. Oh my god. So yeah, there's bullying.
Anyways,
That was not even serious. We're so sorry. It's fine. Okay.
okay. So we're talking about kids. All right.
I hate kids. Sorry.
So like, thank you, Shreya. Thank you.
Okay.
On that topic, is there like our generation? Is there like a reason why like maybe they're a little more like negatively affected in terms of mental health? And is there a reason like why they may be more or less likely to seek help for that?
Well, I think. Okay, I'm sorry. Why am I still laughing? But I think it has to do. Stop laughing, Emily. It has to do kind of with social media because for a lot of people, they're so surrounded by technology and it can make them feel more lonely. And especially with Instagram, when you're constantly seeing like other people's lives, you're like, why is my life so boring? Why do I have to do this homework? Like it just causes a lot of negative comparison that you could honestly do better without. Not only that, but the current climate right now isn't the best. Like our politics is so polarizing. I think for a lot of people it causes stress. I think our generation also has way more problems than maybe previous generations did. I'm not saying that previous generations didn't have problems, but like climate change, I think is an example of one. School shootings, at least in USA, that's a huge source of tension for a lot of kids. There's there's just a lot going on, and with the news, that's you're always getting a bunch of news from social media, from news outlets. You're so connected, it can make you feel really, really tense and more alone. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I do think our generation does is more aware of mental health issues, and they're actually more likely to go ask people for help. That does not include me. I'm trying, but for the most part, I think that we deal with it better and we actually acknowledge that yeah, we have mental health issues.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think acknowledging it is like a huge difference between our generation, like different generations,
Mm,
because I guess like we're trying to destigmatize it, right? Like we're
yes.
trying to be more open about talking about like depression and anxiety and stuff. And I think that like once you get people to be more comfortable about talking to them, like you're going to see more people getting help for it, which is probably why there's like a misconception that our generation's like way more depressed than other generations.
I am more
So
depressed.
yeah,
Okay, I was gonna say I am more depressed than all the generations combined.
so true. Boomers, you have nothing on me.
We're so annoying. Okay. Wait, what did you say? I kind of zoned out. I'm so sorry. Wait.
For me not being
Wait,
able
what?
to
No
tell
one was
you.
saying anything,
Oh,
Shreya.
I'm so sorry. I'm
What?
hallucinating. Okay. Anyways. Stop laughing at me. This is such a okay. I guess we can talk about um treatment of mental illnesses and mental health disorders. Um, I don't know where to start with this because I
I
don't.
can start
Okay,
with
fine.
it.
Go ahead. Sorry, that's so.
Okay, okay. That was so aggressive. You can start if you want to go.
No,
Oh
I don't want to
gosh.
go. Go.
Um. So we see like lots of examples of mental illness and mental disorders, like in terms of um autism or Tourette syndrome, and things like that, where like for example, treatment in classrooms. There's some schools that have like um, extra teacher aid, um, and like those extra sort of like classroom settings to help support students like that. Because I know I had like resources like that in my elementary, but it's not everywhere, right? Like it's not like every school has the resources to help this kid. So it's sort of like I feel like opportunities are limited. Um, when like maybe we should be putting more effort into bolstering that, but also we're getting education cuts, so it's not like our schools can actually like do anything new. So
I would like to blame the government. Wait, am I
So
allowed to say
true.
that?
The
Yeah.
government is why we've lost a total of like 4 teachers this school year alone. The school year isn't even over.
Imagine how many we're gonna lose. Oh wait, we'll be gone. So.
It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
On the topic of mental health issues at school, illnesses, um, for ADHD and dyslexia, I think it's not always handled the best. This is just from what I've heard from my dad. So we have some family friends who do have ADHD, and it's really hard for them because in the classroom, like they're in a normal classroom, so obviously their learning needs are a little bit different than compared to other kids, and they don't always get that attention because teachers also are really strained. They have to pay attention to like all these kids, and sometimes their needs get overlooked when they really need that help. But on the other hand, there are, I at least in my experience, from what I've heard, there's also been success stories. So like people with dyslexia and ADHD, like they're doing fine. Like one of the kids, he's at Harvard now. So if that isn't like pretty good, I don't know what is.
the thing with learning disabilities is like it has nothing to do with the intelligence of a person, right? It's
Mm,
just like harder for them to focus, harder for them to like maybe like it takes longer for them to read and things like that. But like also when you think about it, it's also hard to deal with in terms of like, for example, if you're just talking about ADHD, it's like there's like a spectrum,
mm,
right? You're not always going to exhibit every single symptom of ADHD, right? And it's also like you can't just like show up to a doctor and they're going to like look at you and be like, "Yeah, your kid has ADHD." Like the way that you tell you have ADHD is strictly based on the symptoms. And so if you're adding in like the stigma in terms of like mental health and learning disabilities, if like if you don't think that there's something more than just like you not understanding like maybe the material that you're being taught, if you don't think there's something more, then you're never going to go in to like maybe take that ADHD test. You're never going to like find out that there are better ways for you to be learning things, right? So also like the knowledge surrounding these things also need to improve so that we can get to the level where we can like learn and teach in different ways.
I
Yeah, on that
oh
topic, how
sorry.
do you even like take an ADHD test? Like, you just walk into a doctor's office and be like, test me, or
You have to like book an appointment with like I can't remember if it's a psychiatrist. I can't remember. There's like a special person. Um, and then so basically, like it's different because like you being diagnosed in childhood is different than you going in as an adult. Um, so I think there's like different. I only know the one for like adult because my brother wanted to get tested, but like yeah, it's like it's not very medical if that makes sense. Like they can't like look at you and be like ADHD.
That would be weird. Like they just look at you like, yeah, something's wrong. Okay. Also, I was watching this. I keep watching TED Talks. This was like a year ago. I was watching this TED Talk on, forgot the guy's name, but he's really famous. But he talked a lot about education. And
if you forgot his name, how
yeah, I
could
forgot.
you?
I'm sorry. Okay, I will search it up and tell you later. This educator, he had a lot of views on education. For one of them, he was talking about ADHD, and he wasn't saying that ADHD wasn't a thing, but he was saying that because of the current education climate where people are so, you're always sitting in desks, like children aren't really meant to be always sitting around in desks. That can cause a lot of like attention problems because you want to
Mhm.
move around and not, you don't always learn things by sitting down as well. So lots of people are much better at learning things when they're doing things like, I don't know what is this, kinesthetic kinesthetic learners. That doesn't mean you can't learn in other ways, but it can be harmful when you're so young and you're already forced to sit in a desk and do like adult things like you're writing stuff. Like I don't know, I feel like kids should be playing around more. Even now, like I see for at least my niece and nephews, like they're already writing tests to get into a school for kindergarten, and I'm just like, they should not be doing that. Like I'm just thinking like how much stress they'll have when they're older just
Wait,
because
How
of
like
do
academic
they're
wait?
pressure
writing the test to get into the school,
for
or is it just
kindergarten.
like an advanced placement test?
No, it's for kindergarten. I'm not lying.
That is so weird. Like,
What
what do you
kind
need to
of
know before
elite
you go into
kindergarten is
Yeah, I'm kind
kindergarten?
this?
of elite kindergarten, honestly. It's like, hey, they're just kids.
Because I remember taking a test to get into my kindergarten too. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
I was like, why is education like that? I don't know.
But
Why are
I
you?
don't think it was to get into the school. It was just to put me in advanced placement.
I think it was just to get into the school. I don't even know.
That's so
Like,
mean.
think about it. You're
You don't know
already.
your ABCs. You don't deserve to go into
It's
the
like you're
school.
supposed to teach them. So what is your job
Yeah.
then? Like, okay. I think I also had a test to go into my kindergarten, and they were like, apparently my parents were telling me how I failed to cut something, but I still got it. I was like, I must be
When
a
you're smart,
genius.
but you don't know how to actually move your body right.
Like, I was just an unlucky kid, I guess. But anyways,
I
yeah.
had to take a test to get into grade one, but it was kind of different since I was like, I just came from China, right? So I didn't know English. It was basically just an
Yeah.
English test, and I failed that so bad. He was like,
Oh
"What is
no.
this?" Holding up a picture of the moon. I was like, "Son, son, I am so right."
Oh god. But did you still get in?
I didn't.
Oh, whatever. It's their loss. It's fine.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know.
Anyways, in terms of like you were talking about how
Sorry,
the
background.
environment of learning is sort of making like attention harder for kids, and I also think like someone was telling me this that social media is also making it a
Oh,
little worse because like
I heard this
you're
too.
constantly scrolling to through like
Short
15
videos.
second,
Yeah.
30-second, a minute videos. And so, like, your attention span is also shorter because, like, you're not interested for more than that amount of time. And, like, even me, when I'm like, like I have a video that's like 4 minutes instead of that 1 minute, I
I
just
can't
don't
believe
watch it
this.
because I'm like, I can't pay attention that long, you know?
I'm.
And so that's making it like worse for kids. Um,
That's
to
true.
pay attention, especially if they're like, I don't know, iPad kids who are just being brought up on like social media and technology, which personal opinion, I don't think that's a very good way to grow up because ew.
Yeah, you.
That is very true. When I was a kid, I didn't even know what an iPad was. I just got kicked out of the house for periods of time in the summer, and I came back happy.
And then came
Came
back
back
happy.
happy. Oh my god. Also, I think.
Um,
Oh, okay, okay. Wait, can I go or do I?
yeah, go.
Oh, okay, okay. I was just gonna say that kids who grow up with like technology so early, like when they're 5 years old, you see the kids being so aggressive and like they
They're
just
so
won't talk with
aggressive because
you.
that's their entertainment, and then if you take it
Yeah, they
away
don't
from them,
know.
they're like,
Yeah, I will.
Square
Let
up,
me
bro.
fight you to the death.
How dare you take away my source of sustenance while I'm eating? Like, OMG. Um, yeah, I was also going to comment about the short video thing. Like, I can't understand you guys, no offense, because I'm always watching like animal videos, and I'll send Shruti animal videos, and she'll just not watch them. I'm
your
pretty
animal
sure.
videos are too long, dude.
Yeah, they're like
Like
four
get to the
minutes.
point.
Okay.
Get to the
Anyway,
point. I can't watch. Sometimes I watch through them if they're interesting. Sometimes I don't. But yeah.
all animals are interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways,
Anyway.
in terms of social media, and mental illness, there's also an advantage to it because you're also seeing, like, especially on TikTok, for example, people with autism or people with like Tourette's syndrome are able to have a platform to voice like information about those things. So you're seeing TikToks where they're talking about their experiences and then they're giving you like information about how do you approach someone with autism or how can you help someone with autism and like how to understand someone with Tourette syndrome, right? So like it's becoming this place where you can actually learn better than just like going online and seeing all this like information, and now you're learning straight from the people who you actually want to like interact with, right?
Yeah, I think it's really helpful for me because if it wasn't for all the guys on social media, I probably wouldn't have known about stuff like Tourette's syndrome because, like, honestly, I don't go out of my way to research um,
Mhm.
mental health issues unless I see it in a video or something. I'm like, oh, what's this? And then I learn more about it, so it's really helpful. Hmm. Shall we move on to our next topic? It's a bit, it's a bad transition because it's really about the criminal justice system in relation to mental health issues. So I think we talked about this a lot in TOK. Like, what do you do
Oh,
when
I do remember
we
this
do remember this? Okay,
conversation.
let's talk about this. What do we do when we have someone who has mental health issues, but they also commit like really serious crimes? Like we're talking about murder. Like, what do you do with them in that case? Because there's an argument for both sides, and I think they're both valid. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the argument for both sides.
I mean, like on one hand, it also depends on what the mental illness is, right?
That too.
Because if it's a mental illness that is sort of like removing their ability of free will or to choose, like for example, I don't even know if this is real because I'm just basing this off of TV shows where this happens. So this could be completely false. But if, for example, you have like um, illnesses where you're having like delusions and stuff and then it's making you react a certain way and then you end up like killing someone, right? Like that might be something that is removing your free will in that case, right? um and so that's different than just like something that's not removing your ability to choose. I'm reiterating that too much, but yeah. Anyways, like there's that, and so obviously in that case there's an argument that they shouldn't be like um punished to the full extent of the law for something that they like can't really have control over. But then on the other side, like if it's something as bad as murder, then there needs to be some sort of justice for the person who was killed, right? Because like you can't just tell. their families that, oh, don't worry, the guy who killed your kid, he's not really going to jail or anything. He had a mental illness, and so sorry, like both sides are valid, and it's hard to really decide.
So, like immediately, the case that came up to mind when we like brought up this topic was the Greyhound bus killer from like
Mhm.
2008. Do you guys remember that?
Tell
Yeah.
me a bit
So
more. Wait, I don't
yeah,
remember. What?
basically
Oh.
this guy Vince Lee, he had schizophrenia, right? So he went on a Greyhound bus, basically sat next to somebody. I think his name was Tim. I
Mhm.
don't remember his last name, but like he beheaded him, and I think he was released at some point too because like he had schizophrenia, right?
Mm.
Which made him, which made it really hard for him to like kind of, I don't know, make fully informed actions. Yeah, so basically that was the thing that happened.
In terms of him being released, there was like people who were like you have to choose between like this person. Are you like more worried about the fact that he could one day like have another episode and hurt the people around him, but are you also going to deny him like his ability, like his opportunity to live on the like 1% chance that the episode will happen, you know? So you have to sort of weigh your options.
Yeah, I honestly feel for the
Mm-hmm.
community. Like, obviously, they're going to be pretty scared. Like, if something that terrible happens, and then they're just released after, like, say, 5 years, which is often the case, without any guidance. Like, there's no, I don't know what they're called. Like, there's usually like police officers or something, someone who's like watching them as well to make sure they don't have another
Like
episode or something.
probation, sort of.
Yes, kind of like that. But if they're not even on that, then obviously I think that's kind of a cause for worry, because how can you really be certain that it's not going to happen again? I think it's a valid fear.
I think a big issue in this is like how we diagnose and how we treat mental illnesses like schizophrenia, right? Because as far as I know, there are medications that kind of like make the psychotic episodes better, I guess.
Mhm.
But like in Tim's case, I don't think he got the help he needed for it, which is like partially a reason why like it got that bad. So I guess part of it also comes down to stigma because if people are ashamed of getting help for it, then it's not going to end well for anyone.
Mhm. Um,
And okay, do you have anything else to add on that topic?
I just wanted to say this is kind of different from mental health, like disorders or illnesses, but there are a lot of people who also claim mental health issues with, like, they'll hide under the guise of mental health issues, like just to get a lower sentence. And there's
Mhm.
also a lot of people who commit crimes, like really high level crimes, and they usually have like a pretty extensive history of really bad stuff that happened to them as a child and growing up, which would obviously contribute to a lot of mental health issues. This is just my opinion, but I think in that case, you don't have a mental health illness, but even though you have all those issues, which is obviously really sad that it happened to you, I think it still doesn't justify like the crimes they commit.
Mhm.
So I think there's some nuance there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
It's sad because if you don't stop a crime from happening to a child before, like who knows what could happen to that child later on. They'll continue committing crimes, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, a vicious cycle.
Um, yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, we can. I think the final topic, or second final topic, is circling back to like media. Um, how do you guys think like media and entertainment portray mental health and mental illnesses? Good, bad?
Give me an example. I can't think of anything right now. Like
13
on.
Reasons Why.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
about to
never
say
mind.
that.
Yeah, okay. That I don't like it either because I I only watched the first season because I was so pissed off I just could not watch anymore. Because for me the whole premise was if you commit suicide then you can get back at
Get back
people
at people.
and make their
Yeah.
lives worse for something they apparently did to you. Like I don't really get the message here. Like what exactly is it? Like I feel like
Like,
it's really negative because a lot of young people are watching it too.
mm,
So what kind of effect would that have on them?
suicide is already like a difficult topic. So it's important that the like media is able to portray like these issues properly. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be in a positive light, but also not like inherent like negative as well, right? Like show it as it is.
Hmm. I just didn't like the whole premise of. I think she wrote notes to the people who she blamed. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember.
13 reasons.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, these people are not great people, but I don't know. There was just something about it that made me uncomfortable. I don't remember why anymore because it's been so
Mm-hmm.
long. So,
I think it's basically like the mislabeling of why she committed suicide because in the show I think it was portrayed as mainly like as a form of revenge instead of like
yeah,
yeah.
tough. Yeah,
So yeah, most people don't commit suicide because they want to get revenge on people. So that's like already a huge misportrayal.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huge red flag.
On the positive side, um, some shows like use their like platform, I want to say, to like showcase characters with mental illnesses, and then like I don't know, show that like people who maybe aren't all that aware of um, what those mental illnesses look like, to show them what they sort of like, that they're sort of like, I don't know how to word this, like they're like regular people, like they're not some other thing, they're just like regular people, they're living it. Like I don't know, The Good Doctor, I haven't really watched a lot of that. I think I remember watching like a few episodes when it first came out, but like the main character has autism, right? And so like there's like a lot of people who enjoy having like that sort of portrayal and representation. Yeah.
Hmm. I don't really know. I can't think of any shows at the top of my head which have great mental health portrayal. Or maybe I just don't notice it because I don't really watch TV shows that much anymore. Too busy. And also low
Yeah.
attention span. I just get bored. I'm like, this is boring. Whatever. For me, it's usually books. Um, I've been reading a lot of thriller books recently, so that touches on a lot of mental health stuff.
Not gonna lie, I'm the type of person who will high key spoil the things that I'm watching or reading for myself because if it doesn't have a happy ending, I will stop
Because I can't
before
stand
I get
crying.
there.
Yeah, I have to know what happens. Is it happy or is it sad? That's all I need to know. And then
Like
I'm like, okay.
literally, if you look at my search history, half the time it's just like, does this have a
Uh,
happy ending? And I'll like read it and be like, okay,
for
I'm
me,
good.
the second thing is, do they have a love triangle? Because if they do, I'm out.
Oh
Like,
my
I
god, I
cannot deal
hate
with
love
that.
No, you do
triangles. I
that.
have a hatred for love
I
triangles. They're literally the
despise it.
worst.
Especially since I have a really bad case of second lead syndrome. So, like, there you go. Literally, I can't deal with that. So,
No, sometimes they both just suck,
yo,
and
that
the main
too. Yeah,
character sucks, and you're like, you all
suck.
deserve nothing.
Just be alone forever.
Anyways,
Anyway, this got off topic.
let's end this off with how can we encourage more conversation and discussion around mental health in our communities?
Talk to your school counselor.
Wow. Um, I think first of all you have to acknowledge that maybe you're great, doing great, which is um, that's a good
Maybe
thing.
you're doing great.
That sounded
If you're
so
doing
bad.
great,
I
good
was
for
like,
you, guys.
after I said, it, I was
Continue
like, oh,
doing
this
great.
sounds
If you're
very
not
harsh.
doing so great, well,
maybe
it's gonna
acknowledge
get
that
better.
you're,
Maybe go talk to someone.
yeah, maybe also acknowledge that you're not doing great, because I think that's a first step before you can talk to someone. This is so badly worded. I'm so sorry. I'm only just laughing. But yeah, I think acknowledgement is the first step, and then getting help is obviously really hard. It's a process, but try to find someone you really trust. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family member. It can be a teacher. It can be a friend. Just try talk to them. More often than not, maybe they'll understand what you're going through, because there's a lot of people who are going through loneliness, anxiety, depression more often than we think. These things tend
Hmm.
to make you feel more alone than you probably actually are.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And also, like another note, advice for people like on one end, it's important that you go and find someone that you can talk to because it's hard to handle things when you're by yourself. But also, if you want a little advice on in terms of like when someone comes to you
Oh, that's
wanting to talk about that, like the most important thing I think is don't necessarily tell them what to do unless they're asking for like your opinion.
mhm.
So, like, most importantly, what they're looking for is probably just someone to listen to their problems, right? And whether or not you understand their problems or like feel similarly, as long as you're an open ear and who are not saying negative things back at them, that's probably enough. So,
Yes, listening is key. Okay, with that, we'll end off our podcast. Thank you so much. See you guys soon for our last episode coming soon. Bye.
Bye.